It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. The day my only daughter got married. The hall was filled with music, laughter, and sparkling lights. But for me, it felt strangely cold. As I entered, people glanced at me briefly, and then turned away, as if I didn't belong. I searched for a chair, a simple seat where I could rest my old bones. But there was none. My place had been hidden, erased, and forgotten. Everyone was smiling, but I stood in silence, my heart heavier than the decorated hall around me. Little did they know, I had brought something with me, a secret that would turn this entire wedding upside down. My daughter wasn't always distant. I still remember the nights when she would climb into my lap after school, asking me to tell her bedtime stories. I would return home exhausted, my hands rough from long hours of labor. But the moment she smiled, my tiredness disappeared. I worked tirelessly, taking double shifts, sacrificing my comforts, saving every coin I could. Her mother and I wore old clothes so she could wear new ones. We skipped meals so she never went hungry. I still recall the day she got into college. The pride I felt was greater than any treasure. She was my joy, my light, my reason to keep going. When proposals started coming, I wanted the best for her. I carefully saved for her wedding, keeping aside money every month, building her dowry, planning every little detail. I thought this day would be a celebration of love, not just for her, but for me too. Proof that all my sacrifices had not been in vain. But things changed when she met her new family. Slowly, her phone calls grew shorter, her visits rarer, and her tone colder. I told myself it was just the excitement of marriage, that she would come around. I was wrong. The day of the wedding finally arrived. The guests were dressed in shimmering clothes. The music was loud and everyone was smiling. As I entered the hall, I looked for my seat. Surely there would be a chair reserved for me near the front. After all, I was the father. But there was none. I asked one of the helpers if there was a place for me. He looked at me awkwardly, then whispered, "Sir, they told us not to keep one." The words struck me like a blade. My chest tightened as I turned to look at the crowd. Rows of chairs neatly arranged for every guest, every relative, even distant acquaintances. But not for me. I stood at the back like a stranger at my own daughter's wedding. And then, she walked past me. My daughter, my little girl, dressed like a princess, her eyes lowered as she stepped forward with her groom. For a moment, I thought she would glance at me. Maybe smile. Maybe nod. Instead, she kept walking, as if I didn't exist. My hands trembled. Years of love, care, and sacrifice flashed before me, all erased in that one instant. I wanted to call out to her, but the words froze in my throat. The betrayal was sharper than any sword. Do you know what it feels like to give everything you have, and then be treated like nothing? I stood there, watching the people I once considered family laugh and celebrate. Every cheer was like a hammer against my heart. My back ached, but no one offered me a place to sit. My eyes burned, but no one cared to ask if I was all right. Inside, I was breaking. My daughter, my pride, had chosen to erase me for the sake of appearances, for the sake of her new family's approval. I felt like an unwanted shadow, invisible, disposable. In that moment, I realized a cruel truth. People value you only when you serve a purpose. Once you grow old and weak, they push you aside. My heart was heavy, my eyes wet, but I remained silent, because sometimes silence screams louder than any words. Everyone assumed I would slip away quietly, humiliated, that I would accept my place at the back of the hall and disappear. But they were wrong. As the rituals began, I reached into the bag I had carried with me. It wasn't large, but inside it lay the weight of years, papers, documents, proof of everything I had built. People noticed me fumbling with it, whispering among themselves. Some laughed, others frowned. I began walking slowly toward the stage. The music softened. Conversations died down, and eyes turned in my direction. Step by step, the hall grew quieter. My daughter froze. Her groom stared, and her in-laws shifted uncomfortably. Whispers filled the room. "What is he doing? Why is he going up there?" I climbed onto the stage. My old legs trembled, but my voice did not. I reached for the microphone. For a moment, there was only silence. The kind that makes your heart pound in your ears. Everyone expected a blessing, or maybe a bitter complaint. But what I carried with me was something else entirely. I cleared my throat and began, I don't need a chair. I don't even need a place at this wedding. But today, the truth will not stay hidden. Gasps echoed through the hall. I raised the folder in my hands. Inside this, I said, is everything I saved for my daughter. The house I built, the land I bought, the money I worked for all my life. All of it, meant for her future. People murmured in shock. My daughter's eyes widened. Her groom's family leaned forward eagerly. But, I continued, my voice firm, there is one condition. Love and respect are the true price of this inheritance. And the one who cannot respect her parents, who pretends they don't exist, will never have a claim to it. The crowd erupted in whispers. My daughter's face turned pale. Her groom's family shifted in their seats, embarrassed. I looked directly at my daughter. You hid my chair. You erased my presence. But remember, a parent's blessing is worth more than any wealth, and a parent's curse is heavier than any burden. You chose to make me invisible today, and in doing so, you may have lost everything. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her groom stared at her in shock. The relatives who had ignored me now looked at me with shame and guilt. The hall, once filled with music, now echoed with silence. In that silence, something changed. My daughter fell to her knees, crying, her voice trembling. Father, please forgive me. But forgiveness is not so easily given. I stepped back, watching her tears. The same people who had mocked me minutes ago now rushed to offer me respect. They brought a chair, not just one, but the front seat. They tried to undo their cruelty, but the damage was already done. I sat down slowly, my dignity restored, but my heart still heavy. I didn't come to destroy her happiness. I only wanted her to learn the value of love, the value of parents, the value of respect. The wedding continued, but it was no longer the same. My daughter had learned her lesson in the hardest way possible. And as I looked around the hall, I saw people whispering to each other, realizing the same truth. Money fades. Celebrations fade. But the dignity of parents, that is priceless. Never forget the ones who gave you everything, even when they had nothing. Because when you erase them, you erase yourself.